Okay, hi guys. Welcome to our second annual FMS Day. Thank you so much for dedicating your time to kind of listen to me. Every time I do one of these things, we try to involve something a little bit new so that you guys can kind of take away something from the talk or from the day and put it straight into your practice, into your training, and hopefully that little bit of advice, or even if you capture 10% of what we're about to go over, my hopes is that it's going to impact your training, impact your life in a very positive and fulfilling way. So thank you for that. A couple people to kind of thank. Base Training Physical Therapy Group, the doctors over there, Dr. Tommy Lin and Kim Sung, and Dr. Chad Chan, who was with us on Saturday helping out, are doing a phenomenal job with all of our clients and the people that they get to see coming in through their facilities. And they come out on our FMS days and they help to kind of support the team and really support what we believe in and the philosophy of how to train people properly. So I thank them very, very much. To the Arena Fitness training staff, every single one of them have dedicated a tremendous amount of time learning the methodologies and ideologies that I've used over the last 15 years to give you the training system that we have today. So those guys go through a lot of training, a lot of hours with me. I'm not an easy person to work for. Any one of them will let you know that right off the bat, because my standards are high in terms of what I think personal training should be. So I thank them very much. And to you guys, really, without your input, without your support, without your trust in the training system that we employ at our Arena Fitness training facilities, I wouldn't be able to gather the data necessary over the last 15 years to really find out what works and what doesn't work, and what you guys like to do and what you guys enjoy, and how to make it all fun and wrap it up into a wonderful community of people that we've gotten to know over the last 12, 13 years. And so I thank you guys very much for just taking the time. So on to why we're here. What has 2015 shown us about how to get results for our clients? Well, a lot of you guys don't know or haven't been around since 2003. And for those of you that have been around since 2003, you know that as program director, one of the things that I try to do is I try to ask, why is this working? And how do I get it to work with everybody that walks in through the doors at Arena Fitness? So what the bottom line is I've dedicated the last, since we've opened, to getting people results on a wide scale. So really quick, just to kind of take you guys through that, this is our timeline. When we first opened, we opened up with one-on-one personal training. It was the traditional 60-minute format. And really quickly, we figured out that we were limited in the amount of time that we can actually dedicate to a large group of people. And the sessions became very mundane. There was too much time to basically socialize and not enough time to train. And that was a big problem for us, because at the end of the day, we want to get people results, because ultimately that's the business that we're in, is actually getting results. So in 2005, we got this bright idea to start getting machines. And we lined up the gym with $80,000 worth of the fanciest, slickest looking machinery that at the time money could buy. And the training went right into the tubes. The first year, it got really boring. The innovation and the creativity behind the actual training programs got very systematic, and it was not good all around. Even for us as trainers, that amount of boredom in our training session, when you involve machines, was a big problem for us. So in 2007, I started tinkering around with the workouts of the day that you see today in the gym, and we called that the Arena Fitness Training System. We went through two different versions in that first year before we started implementing it full time. And it was very successful. It really made going to work a little easier for the trainers, and we knew exactly what the objective was for the month, for the 6 months, for the year. And we had a clear path on how we got to do that. So that was very beneficial to our program, and it bumped it up a notch. We got great results that year too as well. 2009 we decided to go with what we call today our fit stations for the semi-private program, where there's a cable cross in the center of the room with our power blocks and our stability ball and basically everything a trainer would need, so that there wasn't any crossover in the gym. With machines, there tends to be a leg area, a chest area, a shoulder area, and what ends up happening is when you start going to the semi-private training format, you got a lot of crossover. And it was very chaotic in the gym, and there was no clear system as to how to actually conduct a training session. So we went with the fit station design, and that has helped to even shape the visual appeal that Arena Fitness has in their facilities and their locations today. So that was a big help. In 2010, we moved to a bigger space. We were at a different location at the time, prior to 2010, and we started. Before 2010, we actually had only one class. It was a Saturday 9:30 class, and it was taught by me and Jonathan. Half an hour on one side, you would do kickboxing. Half an hour on the other side, you would do weight training with me, and then we would switch, giving you a 60-minute class. And that was a big hit. We still get a lot of requests to bring that class back on Saturdays, and we're thinking about doing it from time to time too as well. So stay tuned for that kind of stuff. 2010, we started with our Spartan program. We offered group classes. We went from one class to 30 classes a week. That was a big jump for us, and it really changed our program. We started doing adventure programs that year as well. 2012, we took our first step into our nutrition program that you see today with our Shred nutrition program, and that was 3 weight loss challenges that Joe Garcia would host, and she would host them 3 times a year. And it was a very basic, systematic, log your food in every single day with weekly challenges, and it evolved to the takedown challenge that you see today. We've had a tremendous amount of success with our first run of the takedown challenge. In the first 3 weeks, collectively, people have lost over 260 pounds, which is by far leaps and bounds from the first shred that only lost about 120 pounds with a 6-week process with just about the same amount of people in the challenge when we first launched it. So we've been able to systemize and really multiply the amount of results that we've gotten for people, and really gotten it to a very effective scientific process. So 2014, we said we can do better again with the FMS beta testing. We took about 80 people. Before we started advertising that we were going to start doing the FMS, we took 80 people, and I basically employed 2 different strategies as far as how to improve people's score. I took one with a shotgun approach, and I just assigned correctives to every single test that I saw that they scored poorly on. That's a 1 or a 0. And I took another group of people, and I basically assigned correctives to just the single pod that I felt that they needed the most amount of work with, which is the system we actually went with today. In 2015, we decided that's the way to go, so we did a full integration of the FMS program into the strength program, or the strength training and the group training program that you see today. So it's been widely successful. We're going to go over some of those success stories, but all of that, going through it, has been able to bring us to looking forward into 2016, where now we offer programs with a money-back guarantee. Now, this is something that Jonathan, myself, Stacy, and everybody on the Arena Fitness training staff is extremely proud of. And if you want to talk to Jonathan about those programs, I'd highly recommend for you at least be knowledgeable about the fact that we do offer these programs. But it's the first time that we've been able to sit there and look at somebody in their eye and have a conversation with them candidly as to how they're going to be able to get the 10 pounds lost, how they're going to be able to run a race for the first time in their life, how they're going to be able to do all these remarkable things that they've always sat down with professionals like myself and said, I want to do this. And they paid into a system, and they failed to get the results that they first were there for ultimately, which was to lose weight, or to, even to, my big thing, and if you've trained with me before, is always a reduction of pain. If I can get somebody out of pain, it really changes somebody's life. So, and for me, the pounds lost and stuff like that, that comes down the line. first and foremost for me is it's always going to be what's the quality of my life? How is that improving? So 2016 is going to be a very dramatically different year for us, primarily because one, you guys have been so helpful with being able to collect all these data. We wouldn't be able to offer money back guarantees if it wasn't for all your hard work. So I'm gonna repeat that over and over again. Thank you guys very much for that. So the future is bright for Arena Fitness. But going right along, these are all the people that we've had so much success with, and this is just 2015. Kathy runs a 12.5-minute mile. Salvatore went from 15 to 19. We've got a lot of people that have run their races for the first time in their life. 12 pounds, 4.8% from Letty. Linda Joe lost 6 pounds and has lost a tremendous amount of body fat in the process. That's Efren. He lost 13 pounds in the first month. And then Susan Friedman, which was the slide before that just passed by, she's continually getting results, and she's been with us for over 6 years. I might even be mistaken. I think it's closer to 8 years. But the point of that is that we've got people that not only have been with us for a short amount of time and are still getting results, but we've got people that have been around for 8, 10, 12 years that even this year they've been able to look back on it and say, man, I'm a lot better person today than I was yesterday. And that's really important to us. That's it really, I take that to heart. So this is Stacy Garcia. This is my wife. She got back to her pre-baby body weight. This was a big deal, as it is for a lot of women, when they have a baby and stuff like that. Everybody wants to have the body that they got back again. I hear that a lot all the time. Of course, who wouldn't want that? But it's possible, and it's even possible for the trainers that go through our system. They train there all the time. I make it a requirement. They know the program forward and backward because they're living it. It's what's keeping them in shape. Will Garcia, my brother, lost 80 pounds on the same program. Daniela has lost a tremendous amount of weight. She was a client prior to actually coming onto the staff and has been remarkable with the training system. And now she runs she runs a side career. It's basically a career of running adventure races every single weekend. And your body takes a toll when it's doing those kind of things. And the Arena Fitness training system has helped to keep that career alive for her and her passion going. So we've had a lot of results over the last couple of years, especially in this past year. But in this past year in particular, my question is why? Why are so many people getting great results this year? What has changed? And how has the FMS contributed to that change? So I took a couple of these people that you saw before, and we started to kind of take a look at what's the secret. Why are these people getting so many great results? What's the similarity behind all these things? What's working? What's not working? And at the end of the day, what I want to find out is from you guys. So I asked a question last Saturday at the FMS, which was, how many of you guys actually believe that the corrective exercises that we give you during the warm-up are actually going to be able to change your FMS score? And a lot of people brought their hands up, and it was really remarkable to me because I've always had this notion that for the majority, or maybe not even any of you guys at all, just did not believe that the corrective exercises worked. Primarily because the FMS score never changed for you, and that may be partially true. And the other question I posed last Saturday was, do the warm-ups that we do for Arena Fitness, the 10-minute warm-ups that you do prior to the group training and prior to the semi-private, are those effective? Is that the reason that people are getting such great results? Or is it the reason that people come 5-6 days a week? Or is it the reason that so-and-so does 2-3 classes and that's the reason that they're doing it? Or the big one that I hear a lot is, oh, well, she's a lot younger than me. And the truth is, none of it works. The corrective exercises that I give you do not work. And the warm-ups that I give you do not work. And right now you're probably thinking like Mr. Keanu here, and you're thinking, what do you mean corrective exercise doesn't work? Well, this is what I mean. When a carpenter builds a piece of furniture and it comes out looking like the worst thing you've ever seen in your entire life, He doesn't turn around to the piece of furniture and blame the hammer for building such a disgusting piece of furniture. He blames himself. So, what's funny about these pictures too is you would not believe how many people actually build furniture like this. It's remarkable. But anyways, the point of it is, no matter what you do in terms of what I've seen that get people results is, no matter how diligent you are about following your directions, going through the motions of the exercise, being told what to do by the trainers and actually doing them, showing up 3 times a week, whatever it is, it's not going to work unless you have one thing. And we're going to find out what that one thing is right now, that one little secret that everybody has. But in order to do that, we got to take a look at what you guys have taught me over the last couple of years as an overview. And then we're going to dive a little deeper into like each person as far as what they're actually doing to actually get the great results that we've had so far. So pre-FMS, the group training program had about a 30% injury rate. That means I would actually look into the group training area and see 10 people in it, and 3 of those people were injured at any given time in the day, at any given class that they were taking, at any given point in the day, as far as like during the week. So that was a big number for me, and it was a big problem. And that was a large amount of the reason that I had to do something about it, and thus we have the FMS today. Post-FMS, we had a 78% drop in cancellations due to injury. That means no one was calling Jonathan or myself up going, I can't continue training with you guys because I pulled my back, or I busted my knee, or I twisted my ankle. So that's a great thing. When we normally get cancellations now is because somebody is basically moving out of town and they can't come to us because of location. So that's a great number for us. Today, 27% of our clients have now an FMS score of 15 or higher. That is wonderful. You guys should applaud yourselves for that one. You guys have done a lot of great work, but I want more. And I want to talk about that in a little bit. Right now, I can have the average person that goes through our program, they can change their FMS score anywhere between a 2.5 and a 3.0 change over a 6-month period of time. You can't ask for numbers greater than that when it comes to the FMS score. So my goal with all that is 80% of the clientele, of the people that walk through our doors, I want to see an FMS score of 15 or higher. I think with the amount of work that has gone on and what we're going to go over in the next 10 minutes is going to be detrimental to being able to get that goal. And if you guys even get 50% of what we're going through right now, we're going to be able to hit that no problem next year. So I'm pretty excited. So what does the research show us? Well, I'm going to take you through this really quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but this is what the stats are. This is what I do all the time. I look at research studies. I see what's working, what's not working, what are other people doing, what we should be doing with our clientele. And I found these stats kind of interesting. The first 2 that you see up top, professional football players were tested, and Marines were tested, and they found that the scores that they found in people that had 14 or below had anywhere between a 1.8 and a 5.9% higher risk for injury, for sustaining an injury. Now, I want to be clear. The FMS is not a predictor of injury. If you have a 12 or a 10, whatever it is, you can spend your whole life and never actually experience any type of an injury. All this is saying is that it was an indication that these people were at that point much higher than the average person, than somebody that would score 15 or above. So I just want to be clear about how these research studies were conducted. The top 3 that you see on your screen were people that were taken over 6 weeks, and they just had FMS correctives that were just basically scattered over their program. They did correctives before, they did correctives during, they did correctives afterwards. Sometimes they didn't do correctives in their workout. And over a 6-week period, they experienced a 3.0 to a 2.5 change. So it just kind of backed that other research up. The 4th one down was the interesting one for us. That was a 12-week program. They took firefighters, and over that 12-week program, they just gave them a general fitness program. It was just the normal squats, box jumps, whatever, just kind of running around the room, picking up stuff, dropping it down, with no type of reference towards whatever their FMS screens were. So they didn't use the FMS, they just screened their firefighters, but they didn't use that into their training program. They didn't put any correctives in there or anything like that. So over the 12 weeks, which was double the amount of time, there was no notable change in their composite score, their total score. It just stayed the same. And then the last one, the last research study there with MMA fighters, they did use the FMS screen. They used the correctives into the program, and they used the individual screens to approach each athlete a little differently in their training programs. And over an 8-week time period, they were able to change their FMS stats for about 2 points and sustain it over the last 4 weeks. So the big takeaway there is that general fitness programs do not work. You can do 10,000 squats of a poor looking squat, and if that's the pattern that we identify as being the most difficult for you, that pattern will not change whatsoever under rigorous exercises. So basically more is not better, better is better. Just flipping through those slides, this one was on track and field athletes. They took about 100 track and field athletes, and they found that the track and field athletes that scored 15 or above had better progress or had a significant amount of progress within the year that they trained them. And the athletes that scored 14 or below, they had no significant change in their FMS score. It just did not change. It did not move. Not to say that they weren't great athletes, but there was no notable change into their FMS score at the end of the day. So who's getting results and how? And so now that you guys know that a little bit of information as far as why we're doing the FMS screens and how we do it, let's find out who's getting results with our program. This is my power slide, by the way. What's awesome about this power slide is it's got fire. So if you want to make an impactful slide, you always involve fire into your program. At least that's what I hear. So anyways, arena fitness success story. I'm going to flip through these. I've got about 7 or 8 different clients, and I just kind of took clients sporadically, and I just figured out, all right, why are these people getting results? And here's Barbara. She scored 13 to 17. She had no previous training before. She just started with the program. She trusted us. She's coming twice a week. She's in pod 2. What I want you to notice as we go through these is age. This is kind of how I look at the training program and how to fix it, or a couple variables that I use, what pod they're in and how much they're training that they're doing, and a little bit of their history. So here's Gina, back pain, neck pain, group training, pod 1, went from a 9 to a 15. Here's Chewy, runs a 7-minute, 45-second mile time. She's a great marathon runner. She's always running races. I think she's about to run one in Thanksgiving if you guys are interested in running that. But she lost 11 pounds, went 6 points, 13 to a 19 with her FMS. Right now, she's got 2 all the way down the line in the FMS score. She's working on her trunk stability to get it at 3. She's going to get it. 19 is a very high score. It's really incredible. Here's Bruce Gorin, 61 years old, 6 minutes and 49 seconds on his mile time. Bruce used to suffer from lower back pain almost consistently. Every 3 to 6 months, Bruce would throw his back out on very specific movements. Since the FMS, he's gone from a 13 to 18. I can't remember the last time Bruce actually threw his back out. I think that's almost eliminated, if not gone. Pod 3, hurdle step. Okay. This is Lynn Feldman. She is the mother of Arena Fitness. 67 years old, mile time 15 plus, has come back from back surgery, hip replacement, knee replacement, started training when she was 59 years old. She does her semi-private training program, comes religiously 3 times a week. I don't think I've ever seen Lynn miss a program. FMS Pod 1 has little to no pain now and is now deadlifting a 15-pound kettlebell. Lynn is somebody that, coming out of a replacement, she was concerned that she wasn't going to be able to walk, or she'd had to walk with a cane. She walks around just fine now, and is not only doing that, but lifting an incredible amount of weight for her. So it's just remarkable the results that we've been able to get people over the last year. Here's Stacy Funk, 49, 8 minutes 58 seconds, chronic stress, hip pain, rib pain, elbow pain. Trains a hybrid, Pod 2. Started with us in 2012. This year she got an incredible jump on her FMS score from 10 to 16, which was an incredible success story. I love this story in particular because it was such a meaningful process in order to get her to a 16, and what she did was she trusted the process, and I'm thankful for that. So and Bruce Benton, 57 years old, male, no previous training whatsoever. Bruce just started with us in March. He's lost 30 pounds and went from a 9 to a 15. He's Pod 2. So the big question was, what are the similarities? What's the common denominator? Why are all these people changing at such a dramatic rate? We've got clients that were from 26 all the way up to 67 with no similar background in history, no similar even training program. The only similarity that I saw within the training program is 6 out of the 8 or 9 people that were involved were doing some sort of semi-private training, slow controlled movement type training, and doing strength and doing their cardio on the side. But that was the only slight similarity. I was looking for more of a concrete type thing, and this is the only thing I can come up with. Behavior. The one common thread in almost all the clients that you just saw, and one of the reasons that I attribute somebody changing their score from a 5 to a 6, or even 3 points on the FMS score, or improving movement in general, has always been behavior. There's a consistent characteristic that is undeniable when you look at all these people and the reasons that they're actually getting result. And you put them on paper and you actually sit there and look at it, and the one thing that stares at you back in the face is behavior. They all show up early. They foam roll out. They're dedicated to the process of the training program. There's an extreme amount of trust with that training program, and because of that trust, there's never a question as to what we're doing or how we're doing it. It's just go, 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 go. And the big one for me, that I believe is the one reason why people get results, is they're a student of fitness. They come in and generally ask the most amount of questions. And it's because they genuinely want to learn about the exercises and learn what the exercises are doing for their body. And I have found that right there, that characteristic of and behavior of setting themselves up to come into the gym and have it be a learning experience, that is the one characteristic that gets people's results 10 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10, if somebody comes in with that behavior, they're going to be quite successful with their program. This is Master SFG David Whitley. This guy's writes incredible articles, but in the kettlebell world, a lot of you guys, if you've ever seen the SFG behind my name, I'm Strong First certified. I recently got certified in that certification last year, and it was one of the most grueling things that I've ever probably gone through in my training career for a certification. But I am not interested in how heavy, how quickly, or how many times you can do something poorly. If the meatheads of the industry, and David Whitley would probably crush me with one hand if he ever heard me say this, but if they got it right, we have to start to take a look at what exercise and what it really means a little differently, because I think he hit it spot on with that one. So what's movement really? And I put a couple quotes, and you guys can take stills of this, but the one that I want you guys to focus on is the third one down. Human movement is a behavior, and we should think of it within behavioral parameters. The experts in the fitness industry are, and I'm not talking about the ones that you see off The Biggest Loser. I'm talking about the real experts in the fitness industry with real initials behind their names. If they're looking at movement and exercise as more of a behavioral characteristic, and they've been looking at this way for a long time, then we should probably think about it the same way. moving forward. And there are countless quotes. I can go through them all, but there are all these major strength and conditioning coaches, and they all point to the same thing, that movement and exercise and results and being successful is more of a behavioral characteristic than it is a physical attribute. The difference between a successful person and others is not a lack of strength, not a lack of knowledge, but rather a lack of will. Vince Lombardi. I think you guys all know who that is. So you can be an athlete and not be athletic. This slide is one of my favorite slides because it basically illustrates the definition of what I believe is an athlete. And I believe that in today's world, the definition of an athlete is really distorted. And that may become, I think for a lot of us, we think if you don't put a jersey on or you don't play a professional sport, then you're not an athlete. And that's just simply not true. The example I like to always give is, a lot of you guys don't know, or you may know, but I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've been practicing it for about 7-8 years. I'm a brown belt under Romulo Barral, who's a 5-time world champion. I've been training with him for years. I enjoy it very much so. And but I always say, if Tiger Woods were to come down to my academy one day, I would show you the most unathletic person in about 8 minutes. And it's not saying anything against Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is the most incredible athlete in the world at golf. If he were to come down to the academy and practice jiu-jitsu, he would feel so unathletic, so out of water, so out of touch. The first thing that would come out of his mouth would be like, "I'm terrible at this." Now, that doesn't make him an athlete. So the definition of you have to be athletic in order to be an athlete, that's just not true. And we can go down the line, and I can show you other examples of how that is that's the case. But at the end of the day, my definition of an athlete has to do with more of a mindset. And I firmly believe to be an athlete, you must have an athletic mindset. I've also met on the other side of the fence a bunch of professional athletes that are the furthest thing from being an athlete. They just don't have the mindset. They get to a point in their career where they've accomplished a certain amount of things and they let ego get to them. And then they start showing up to practice late, or they stop doing the things that coaches are asking them to do because they think that they can do one better, because they've reached a certain point in their career. And they stop having that learner's mindset, and they become unathletic in their mind. And that doesn't work out for them, and they start wondering why they're losing games or why they're not getting gold medals around their waist or their neckline, and they just don't, they can't make the connection. So on the other side of it, I've met plenty of quote unquote athletic people that are the furthest thing away from being an athlete. So this is the big secret here is the non-athletic mindset versus the athletic mindset. And for a lot of you guys, you probably don't think of yourselves as athletes, and that's fine. That's totally fine. Hopefully by the end of this one slide, I'll get you to kind of look at yourself in a different light, because everybody that walks in through one of the arena fitness locations, they're an athlete. They come in 2, 3, some come in 6, 7 days a week, and their sport is life. They need to come in, exert a certain amount of energy, but have their bodies function in a way where they can impact the other 23 hours of their life that is necessary either to go home, support a family, or support a job, or whatever it is that they're doing. But their sport is at life, and I'll be happy to debate on whether or not those people are athletes or not. But I firmly believe that every single one of you guys is an athlete in your own way, and you don't have to have a professional sport to actually do that. So we're going to substitute non-athletic mindset with unsuccessful mindset, and we're going to substitute the athletic mindset with being successful. So as we go through this, hopefully these hit a marker, but I want you to be very specific on this. We live in both columns. The people that become successful in their careers, become successful in life, or whatever it is, just tend to practice one side of the column more so than the other. But just to remind you, no one gets given a set amount of behavior characteristics, and that's just firm who you are and what you're going to do. It becomes a practice to actually set your day out in the beginning and intend for your day to go in a positive way. And I firmly believe that too as well. Ego and no ego. This one's a big one. In the martial arts world, I'm going to relate a lot of things to martial arts because I'm a martial artist and that's who I am. But in the martial arts world, you learn this one real quickly. You cannot sit there and go into a sparring match and have any type of ego. And the times that I've had to battle my own ego in my sparring sessions are the times that I come back hurt. I'm usually rubbing an elbow or rubbing an ankle because I got a little too ahead of myself and thinking I'm better than somebody else. And it turned out that I wasn't, and I paid for it immediately. In the strength and conditioning world, we have a little bit more of a luxury in terms of it's not that dramatic when our ego gets in the way of our training. But it does happen, either we start thinking that we can lift more than we should be lifting, or we can run faster than we should be running faster. Whatever it is, it gets in the way, and being able to identify that is really important. So if you ever want to get in contact with your own ego, one of the exercises that I always love when it comes to ego and practicing not having it is yoga. Yoga is one of the one exercise routines, and you can take it with Philip Anderson. He's a wonderful yoga instructor. He does it Friday nights over in Encino, and he also has a couple classes down at Northridge. But you'll quickly, the first time you take a yoga class, you'll quickly encounter your yoga and your own ego. And what's going to happen is you're going to sit down on your mat. You're going to try to do some crazy, funky sun salutation, and all of a sudden you're going to be wobbling on the floor and figuring out that your balance isn't really where it should be. So I definitely encourage that. But the unsuccessful person is resistant to being coached. The successful is always coachable. You'll see it on the sports field all the time. Yes, coach. No problem, coach. 50 laps. Okay, coach. Their mindset is in a way where it's whatever you're asking me to do, I'll do. And I see that across the board with everybody that gets results with our training program. Is I normally, the people that are just being really, really successful and hitting it out of the park, there's never a question on the workout of the day. There's never a question on whether or not we're doing burpees or box jumps or whatever it is. They just go. And it's quite remarkable. Late to train, prompt to train. Every single person, being late to train, prompt to train, we start the clock right on time. So if somebody misses out on a certain portion, it's unfortunate. I think it's more unfortunate that they probably don't understand how detrimental that is to their program. But it's your training program. You can be 15, 20, 30 minutes late, however you want to do, as long as you understand that probably is not going to land you in the successful column. No defined goals and defined goals. These goals don't have to be weight loss goals. They can be very small in increments. They can just be, my goal is always consistency. Even though I train and I've trained all my life, consistency has always been something that if I don't put it on the forefront of my goals, it comes back and it bites me right in the ass. So it's always a goal of mine. Busy and productive. This one's a big one. There's a big difference between being busy and productive. Now, time is usually the number one excuse that all of us use when it comes to anything in our life. It doesn't even have to come to training. It's, I don't eat well because I don't have time to cook, or I don't go out on my Sunday hikes because I just don't have time for, and I'd much rather sleep in, and that's going to be my only time that I actually get to sleep in all 7 days throughout the week. So I don't do it. Whatever it is, but there's a big difference between being busy and productive. And productive is being able to look at your to-do list and make sure that 3 of those things on the to-do list are gone by the end of the day and completed. So production is more about completion of this task, whereas being busy is partially biting off of a bunch of 15 things that you have to do off your to-do list, but not completing a single one. Infrequent progress. Measurable progress. The athlete can literally measure their progress daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. They have results all the time, whereas the unsuccessful person generally has that infrequent progress, where it's like maybe they get results this month, maybe they don't, but there's really no rhyme or reason for it. Uses food for comfort or socializing. Uses food as fuel. This one's a big one. We all do it. I do it. I love going out and eating with my friends or going out and eating with my wife. But the successful mind just does not have an opinion about food. They use it for fuel. They time their meals and make sure that they're timed in properly and that they're delivering a certain amount of nutrients and minerals to their body on a consistent basis, similar to a machine would. And that's just the way they look at it. And there's no denying that whatsoever, especially when you look at somebody or even talk to somebody that's lost anywhere between 20 or 30, even 40 pounds of weight. And you'll quickly get to realize how they actually view their food was one of the main reasons that they got the success that they got when it came to losing weight. Discouraged by identifying weakness, identifies and attacks a weakness. When I first started learning about the FMS, one of the big words that they were using that we had to quickly move back away from was dysfunction. They wanted to tell our clients, or they wanted us to tell our clients, that we identified a dysfunctional pattern. That sucks. Who wants to be dysfunctional? So we never even employed that. That was common sense not to use a word like that. But that's how they taught it. And the successful mind really identifies and attacks weakness. It's okay to tell an athlete that their ankle is got a less degree range of motion and you're leaking energy out of the ankle every time you push off, so you're wasting energy. They want to identify where the hole is in their tire, and they want to plug it. They want to make sure that that weakness does not exist. So they are always gung-ho about stuff like the FMS, especially when you go to a sports team, because they're all about finding out, hey, I don't want any holes in my dam. I don't want any water coming out. Make sure that everything is nice and concrete and spackled up and nothing is being wasted. And that's just their mindset when it comes to these type of things. Avoids training when injured, trains to rehabilitate injuries. I want to be clear about this, guys, because a lot of you guys that know me, we joke around as far as like, oh, Joe hurt himself, but he's training anyway. When I get hurt and I start to rehabilitate an injury, especially my knee. Recently, I popped my knee. I don't go right into doing heavy weighted squats or front squats or anything like that with weight. The amount of training that I go for when injured, and the ones that I recommend is really controlled mindfulness, rehabilitative type exercises, and then to progress you quickly into the strength training program. But the last thing that I would ever recommend when somebody got hurt, and really this is outside of post-surgery. I'm not recommending for anybody to start training post-surgery, but when it comes to chronic pain or chronic injuries, training is the best solution. Sitting on the couch is not. It is certainly not a rehabilitative solution with any injury to avoid exercise. That is not the prescription that we give at Arena Fitness, and I hope that that's not the prescription that you believe we give, because it's not true. If somebody hurts their back, generally I'm telling them to come in and walk on the treadmill or do something to get yourself moving. Sitting on your back or laying down or just because you pulled your back, it would be worse for you in the long run. So I definitely don't prescribe to that. Trains to escape or zones out. Trains to learn or zones in. This one's a big one. Are you a zombie when you work out? Are you zoning out? Are you coming there to completely just lose your mind and escape? Or are you there to learn? Are you there to zone in? Are you there to be mindful of your fitness? There's a big difference with that, and you'll see that on the successful side. All those people that you saw before, that's what I was talking about. They ask questions. They're there to learn. They're a student of fitness. Blames everyone and everything, blames himself or herself. You will never see an athlete at the end of a football game being interviewed after they lost the game and say, oh, it was my coach's fault, or it was my teammate's fault, or it was the other team's fault for being better than I am. You'll never hear anything like that. They're always going, I'm going to train harder on Monday. I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm going to adjust here. I'm going to adjust there. Maybe I'm going to run a little bit faster, work on my patterns, and I'm going to come back and be a better person. And that is the successful athletic mindset. Outputs blank, inputs blank. Put whatever word you want in there. The unsuccessful person generally comes in and they're looking to burn, waste energy. Just give me as many classes as possible so I can just get this energy out of me. And that's great and all. But you got to look a little deeper as far as what that actually means. The successful person, the athletic person, they go into a training session and they're looking to input something. They're looking to learn a little bit more about the deep squat, learn about their hip, learn about their knee, learn about their ankle, and learn how to make it better than it was prior to them coming into the session. So they're looking like a student. What am I getting out of this class? What am I getting out of this session that I can walk away with and say, hey, I'm a better person than I was the day before? Race car, electric car. There are countless amounts of videos online on YouTube that depict a race car driving right into a wall, blowing up, all kinds of things. There are very few of electric cars. And we have electric cars like Tesla that are going 3.6 seconds and 60 seconds. The difference is the electric car uses a tenth of the energy that the race car does to produce the same amount of force. Be an electric car. Don't be a race car with your training. Trains with effort, trains for efficiency. Efficiency will always trump effort every single time. There's, everybody's probably seen Will or one of the trainers do a burpee and made the remark of, you make it look so easy. And it's the same thing when we demonstrate exercises and stuff. And yeah, we're doing it 2-3 times, but we're also doing it 2-3 times throughout the day, 16, 17, 18, sometimes 20 times a day. So it becomes a lot. And one of the reasons that we can, when we demonstrate exercise, that we make it appear so easy is that our bodies are working efficiently. And that's what we're hoping for you guys. That's the whole purpose of this training program, is to let's get efficient with our movement as opposed to just trying to waste a bunch of energy and almost end up spinning our wheels in the mud. So just understand, efficiency will always trump effort. And I see it all the time, even in my martial arts. The biggest guys that come into the gym and they come in for the first time and they're trying to do jiu-jitsu and their arms are about the size of both my legs put together, those are generally the people that fall the most because their cardio is terrible. It's a lot of muscle to just move around, and they expend all this energy and all this effort into trying to choke you out or tap you out. And they're usually the ones that burn out the fastest, and they're usually also the ones that are walking out the gym rubbing an elbow or limping on the way to the car. So just efficiency will always trump effort. And then more is better. Better is better. That's the bottom line. And that's your successful or unsuccessful, successful mindset. And just a reminder, we live in both. It takes a practice and a daily practice and almost an hourly effort to try to stay closer to the right side. And you will always be bouncing back and forth and being caught up with whether or not I'm busy or productive, or whether or not I'm involving too much ego into the situation or not involving any ego and taking a step back. But the point of the matter is going back to why we started this discussion in the first place, is how do I get results? That's how you answer that question. You look at columns like this and information like this and you go, what does it take to exemplify the characteristics of a successful or an athletic mindset or an athletic person? And that's it. So, what's the big takeaway? What is movement really? Movement is a behavior, not an exercise. There is not a single exercise that will solve all your problems. There's not a single exercise that's going to help you get a tighter butt or firmer abs or anything like that. It's a culmination of a bunch of things. It's a behavioral change. So if you change the behavior, you can change the movement. And if you change the movement, you can then change your life. And that's the big takeaway from today, is being able to do that. So if you want to sit there and get the results that you see us getting with so many other people, if you want to change your FMS score from a 13 to a 19, you have to change your mindset and your behavior that you put into the exercises that you're doing at Arena Fitness. That's the big takeaway, guys. That's the big secret. That is what 2015 has taught me about results. That is what you have taught me about results. And it's just from a collection of looking at all your profiles and really kind of going, what's the one thing that's hitting me in my face? And it's always come back to that one word, which is mindset. And it's gotten to the point where we're getting so many results for so many people this year that it's undeniable. And it's something where I feel I can't continue to instruct exercise without being perfectly clear as to how this works. This is how it works. It is undeniable. And if you guys want to go around being this guy, talking about how you're going from 14 to 17 one day, we all need to involve a little bit more of Morpheus into our lives. Sorry, I'm a Matrix geek, but movement matters. It really does, guys. It really, really does. So if you guys have any questions about that, please email me or talk to anybody on the staff. Thank you so much for listening to me today. It's the first time I'm doing this, but I hope you guys find it beneficial and really, really start to approach your exercise and the way you perceive exercise in a completely different manner. Thanks again, and I will see you at the next event.